This isn't part of what I'm doing today, but as I'm stitching up this little koala bear for my son, I was realizing just being able to hand sew alone without even using a sewing machine is so powerful. And I just want to encourage anybody to learn that skill, because there's been so many times where somebody has asked me to hem a pair of pants. There's been so many different examples since I've learned how to sew where just small things have been able to be modified or altered. We're talking hemming a pants, getting a hole in your favorite shirt, a line of stitching coming undone, the little koala bear, his head becoming detached from his body. And it's so empowering to be able to just take a needle and thread, go right to it. Don't have to take it to anybody. You don't have to throw it away. You get to save and rescue these items. And so I love that about sewing, yet sometimes I put it off because hand sewing to me is like very boring and I don't like it. I prefer machine sewing. But again, I find myself doing it again and again. I do it when I sew my journals closed. So it's just such a useful skill. And it's funny because my husband knew how to sew before I ever did. But yeah, I'm so glad I learned. And if you're thinking about it, do it. It's worth it. And inevitably, I always get myself at least once with the needle. There it is, but totally worth it. Saved his cute, adorable little koala bear. Okay, getting into what I'm working on today, which is sort of this barrier, this mental blockage, which has been to work on one of my long-term goals. So today I'm starting to get myself back into drawing, which is a very key point if I want to get digital products out or if I want to pursue art licensing in any form. I need to actually have something that I've designed by hand that I'm proud of, that I can present on my website or to an agency. So I'm out of practice with drawing. I will insert a very, very terrible example here of something I tried to draw recently on just my tablet. And I can't be too hard on myself because I'm not somebody who designs primarily on the tablet. So I'm like, okay, let me get back to the basics. Let me just get some pens out, some pencils, some markers, some paints, whatever I'm feeling into. And let's just do some basic illustrating, get that muscle working again. So I have this little vintage paper dolls book that I think would be perfect to get little inspiration from, because I'm working currently on a baby girl journal and I think it would be cute to have like little illustrations in the journal. So this can be a good like practice exercise for me. And then if I end up liking some of the illustrations, I can save them, but more likely this is just going to be a good practice for me to get back into drawing. So I'm just going to flip through here, and I love these like 60s style, like those chubby legs and the little rosy cheeks. I think this is a really good style to incorporate into my design. So I'm going to try to pick out several that inspire me and then sort of mesh them together into my own sort of design. I think I could find little, like maybe a little outfit in here because I don't know exactly what they wear. And I'm just not somebody that draws out of my mind. I tend to have to look at something to draw, and then I sort of am off and running once I get started with my imagination taking over, but it helps me to have a visual to look at. I think these are like old board games or something. Cabbage Patch. We're not doing that. I remember those. Okay, I love the little style on these girls, these sewing sets. So I think the 60s is more the sort of style I'm going for. Here's another one. I just love that style. It's very old-fashioned, yet I want to incorporate that. Okay, so maybe something like that could be cute in a baby journal, but I don't know. I think it's just a little creepy. I like the greeting card style better, so we'll stick with that. Oh my god, that's like what I had to wear to school when I was a little kid. That's funny. I like their little socks and shoes though, that's cute. Okay, so I'll keep flipping through this and then I'll show pictures of my inspiration for the ones I've chosen, and then I'll start drawing and I will just show you the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of do kind of a rough outline of the girl that I'm trying to draw. And this is just my process. So once I get that done, then I have to go back and erase most of the pencil lines. Okay, here's where we're at. So I'm noticing there's a lot of areas that I need to go back and clean up. But I'm going to leave them for now. I want to remove that little like headband thing, and I made some notes here of places I may want to add fabric. And there are some mess ups too, like close on her face, but I want to just forget about that right now and get out some colors. I figured I would work with these gel pens because I have a bajillion of them, yet I've never used them, so it was a good excuse for me just to mess around with them. And I actually really enjoyed these gel pens, so I think I'll keep adding those in. I'm going to go ahead and do some outlining and like add some detail to her hair and her eyes and all that sort of thing, because I just enjoy doing this hand to paper versus tablet. And then there's certain things that I enjoy doing on the tablet better, and one of which is cleaning up all those sort of smudgy spots and mess ups, because it's just a lot faster to do on the tablet. Yet at the same time, it is time consuming. So I guess it's maybe faster isn't the right word. It's cleaner, and it's easy just to hit that undo, redo button, if you know what I'm saying. So I'll show you the app I use, which is Pixelmator. We're getting ready to bring this into the digital next. And the reason I like using Pixelmator, although they're not paying me to say this, is just because after I recovered from my drug addiction, and even after being clean all these years, I still have a decent amount of brain damage that didn't recover. And so things like working in Photoshop and InDesign were more frustrating than they were enjoyable. So I found a few apps, one of which is Pixelmator, that allow me to do pretty much the same things I was doing in Photoshop, but it's just a one and done. Like I paid, I think $30 or something way back when I purchased it. And I don't pay monthly. It's just like you purchase it once, you don't have to pay for updates. It's super simple to use. I have a lot of options. Obviously not as many as Photoshop, but I never used all of Photoshop's options to begin with. And so yeah, that's just what I'm into. And I still have a lot to learn though, like as far as working with the digital. I learned while working on this that I'm going to have to put in a lot of reps if I want to get my art back to the place where like I'm proud of it and I feel like I have something to present. It's going to be a long journey, but I look forward to doing more. And this was a good reminder that I often put my art like towards the end of the day, or I feel like, oh, I can't do that, I need to do my work first, which yes, I do need to do my work. But if I want to make art a real thing that's part of my work, I have to work on it as if it's already my work. Does that make sense? So this was sort of, while I was working on this, these are sort of the things I was thinking like, yeah, I need to just basically start scheduling it in, because it's so easy to push it off as like this frivolous thing, but it's really important to me and I need to act accordingly, treat it like it's important to me. I feel like that's a pattern. I love art, yet I often take art for granted, and I want to just sort of stop that pattern and do things to where it is becoming part of my everyday. I'm not there yet. It's becoming part of my every week, but I want to make it part of my every single day. So I'm working my way up to that. I just feel like I have so many things that between my workouts and my nutrition, which I'm focusing heavily on this year, and making videos, which I'm also focusing on, and completely like transforming my business model. It's a lot combined with being a parent and homeowner, etc., etc. And we all have things that are on our plates and feel like we don't have enough hours in the day. But if I want this to be a thing, I have to take it seriously. And that's sort of where I'm at. And I'm starting to recognize that. And I may have to let certain things go, but I'm not sure what. And I don't really want to let anything go that I have going right now. So just something for me to figure out. I'm sorry. I should have had the camera on the other side. You really can't see much here, so that's my fault. Okay, so here's where we're at. And now I'm taking this fabric and sort of cinching it there because I want this to be the girl's skirt. And so then I'm just going to take a picture of that and then I will add that in Pixelmator. So as you can see, there's a lot of things I'm trying to point out here of pencil marks and mess ups, like things that I want to clean up in the app. And see that like on her cheek, there's a lot. Like I would have to heavily clean this up if this was going to be a completed design, which this one isn't. This is just practice. All right, so let's get into the app. Here it is. Love, love, love. And I'll just show you some things within the app that I find really useful. You see all my layers there on the top left, so I can just click on whichever one I want to work on, and I can merge the layers, but I work individually on the layers, and I tend to just merge them at the end. Everybody has their own sort of style. That's just how I like to work. So if I was going to make this a digital, I would need to remove the background of the girl, and then also start painting extra things and basically just painting and erasing. It's just, I do a lot of painting and erasing, and I do a lot of layering in Pixelmator, and those are the main sort of functions I use. And I feel like this can be a pretty fast process, but then there's also parts that just take a little bit longer because you have to like zoom in and go really, really close, and you can see the pixels as you're erasing them. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just keeping it kind of rough because I know that this is just practice. So I'm playing around with the idea of if I took a picture of the fabric, like, could that look like a skirt? I found that for this example, I didn't cinch the waist enough. So next time I would probably just want to take that to my sewing machine, put a proper stitch line in there, and that would look a lot better. And then it has a wrinkle, so it was like, okay, yeah, that wouldn't necessarily work, but I love the idea of bringing fabric and texture in digitally. So that's something I will continue to do, and each one will probably get a little bit better, hopefully. This is about the point when I realized once I scaled it down and put it on top for her, I was like, I mean, yeah, I could make it work. If I would have to paint over the wrinkle and all that. But then I was like, I don't love it, so I'm not going to continue tweaking with that. But I do like her chubby legs and her little shoes. But again, I feel like I didn't change this enough from the original. And I really didn't like her hair, how I did that in the middle. Like that little thing there. That I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase parts that I don't like. I also don't like that I can see so many of my pencil marks in her hair, so I should have definitely erased more of those before I went in with the gel pens, because that would be an absolute nightmare to try to redo. It would take forever. I decided to bring in a black background because it's just going to be so much easier for me to see than on the white background. And even though I have glasses on right now, my eyes are just like not the best, so I figured this would be more helpful. I also wanted to show that you can do things just like using the eyedropper to color match, so I can carry over the same color I was using, but just now digitally, and I just find that so useful. I know a lot of apps do it, but I just like that I can do so many things within this one app. And here you can see like all the different paintbrushes and all the different types. You can do pen, spray, marker, crayon, pencil, ink, just whatever like you would physically have, you pretty much have it all here digitally, and then all the different tips and all the different types, and then you can adjust like the diameter of your brush. Same for eraser. You have lots of different eraser styles, and you can adjust like the transparency. So there's just like almost an endless amount of options within this app. I could stay lost in it for a really long time. I wanted to show you some sort of close-ups of what this would look like if I was going to go ahead and clean up some of this stuff. I sort of test on the background over there, and then once I have the color how I want it, I would just be going in and recoloring this essentially. But like I said, I would have to be really committed to this design to sit here and recolor it all, get rid of the pencil marks, cut it out entirely. And the longer I worked on it, the more uninspired I became, not just with this specific drawing, but just the subject matter in general. I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do like a little paper girl doll. I'm not feeling it anymore. So this was a good getting back into drawing challenge for myself, but I'm going to call it for now. I do enjoy the process, and I loved that I brought the fabric in, and I look forward to doing more sort of experimentations and exploring a lot of different subjects and taking the time to enjoy the process, because I'm realizing just how hard it is to create digital products by hand. Like, it's one thing to have AI, like I can say, hey, will you draw this for me? But I want to do my own designs, and it's important to me. So I'm realizing like this is my ending point for today, but it's kind of reawakened my like passion for drawing. And so I look forward to doing more designs and finding ways to make them more my own, add my own style. This was more or less me just kind of drawing something that already existed, but I don't feel I altered it enough to where it's like my own. So moving on and realizing that it's so much work to do digital designs by hand, but it's something that I do want to challenge myself to do. So I look forward to exploring lots of different subjects and sort of finding my style along the way. So thanks for hanging out, and let me know, do you like these sort of drawing type videos, or do you like more of the junk journal stuff? I'm just curious. I'll probably just do like a random assortment of things as I go along, but I love hearing from you guys, and thank you for watching.